Hi, everyone. Colleen and I are so excited to be here today. We are here from New York, and we actually recently graduated from a master's program at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, and it was focused on cosmetics and fragrance marketing. So as part of our thesis research, we explored challenges in beauty at a global scale and conducted intensive field research in Europe, Asia, and North America.
And today we're here to share with you some of our research findings. We'll focus on going beyond the consumer to forge a lasting emotional connection with the consumer. So first, Jessica will take you through brand positioning based on the consumer needs, and I will close with our findings on our research with the men's market.
Great. So what I looked at was accessible beauty, and what we found is that accessibility isn't a fad. It's something that companies at all levels need to be a part of and must be aware of. Yesterday, the brand was the reason a consumer shopped. People were loyal to their favorites and quite hesitant to change. Sorry, the screen is cutting off a bit of our presentation, so that says product. So today it goes deeper than the brand, and consumers look to products. It's about trial and play, recommendation from friends and bloggers on which products truly deliver on their promise. So what does tomorrow look like? Early in our research, we found an important source to help us shed light on this. It was the National Intelligence Council's periodic report on global trends, and it predicted a dramatic new landscape for 2030. Demographic patterns will have changed. Currently, 2 countries, Japan and Germany, have a median age over 45. In 2030, that number will have increased to over 20 developed countries, primarily in Europe. These countries alone represent 1/4 of the world's GDP. Because of the aging population in these developed economies, this will have triggered worker migration to fill entry and lower-level jobs. The National Intelligence Council further predicts the nature of authority will have also shifted. The economic power shifting to age and the aging demographics of the historically dominant West will create a rebalancing at both international and domestic levels, evening out global powers. And in addition, the number of impoverished people worldwide will have declined by half between now and 2030, falling below 500 million people. This will all have led to more people ready to consume in the global middle class than ever before. The phenomenon of migration combined with the ability to stay connected means that people will live for long periods of time in foreign countries while still keeping close ties with the country they consider home. People will become increasingly global, connected to friends and family throughout the world. In 2030, our consumers will have changed, and the beauty industry must evolve to stay relevant. It's no longer about one age group, one income level, one race, or even one sex. These new habits will shatter old demographic segmentations that we're used to. Consumers will rationalize every purchase decision, trading up and down based on their own individual needs and values. We have dubbed this new and largest purchasing group of 2030 the progressive rationalists. They will cross over all demographic segmentations that the industry previously had. The group will make purchase decisions in very different ways. Why? Because they're tech savvy. With an expected 2.5 billion smartphones by 2030, nearly half of the world's adult population will have not just mobile phones, but smartphones. With the proliferation of smartphones and the internet, the progressive rationalists of 2030 will be more globally connected than anyone can imagine today. They are also price conscious. Income levels in many developed nations, such as the US, are projected to remain relatively stagnant over the next 5 to 15 years. But this goes beyond income stagnation. Progressive rationalists are also price conscious because they are more globally aware and technology allows them instantaneous information. So we went from brand to product, and we believe that by 2030, the next hero will be the need. Without heroing a need, a brand and product can become obsolete. Here's how the consumer shops today. A basic need and product performance drive the purchase. However, in 2030, it will go beyond functional need and will be about a new, higher order need. To make it clear, let's take an eye cream as an example. Today, a woman may shop for her eye cream based on treating puffiness and wrinkles, plus being rated a top performer on the internet. Our progressive rationalists will demand much more from her eye cream. It will need to be ethically sourced, delivered same day, and with a discount. We call this the progressive consumption model. Brands that understand this will be able to hero her higher order needs and stay competitive in 2030. We have identified 3 key needs we believe will provide the highest value to the 2030 consumer and will give your brand relevancy: convenience, clarity, and cash. What does all of this mean? Within these 3 key needs, she will trade up and down constantly. She will be activating levers or purchase decisions, sometimes without even being aware. Based on these higher order needs, she will make her life her own. We know that in the near future, mobile and on-the-go purchase will be ubiquitous, changing the meaning of convenience. Purchase points exist everywhere the consumer is, and she will be able to fulfill her desires almost as immediately as she thinks of them. Gone are the days where people have time to plan their shopping lists. Purchase points will exist everywhere the consumer is, and we chose to look beyond anywhere that we have ever considered to see who's doing a good job of being truly convenient. The brand we chose that we found we could learn the most from is Subway. Surprising? We thought so. But the more we read about this sandwich shop, the more we realized it could be a game changer in the beauty industry. You might not think Subway would hero the same needs as beauty, but our research showed otherwise. Subway opened its first store in 1974, and by 1988, they had 2,000 locations. In 1992, a local businessman from a small town in Iowa tried to convince Subway to allow him to set up a franchise shop in his local gas station. The thought of food in a gas station did not go over well, but after a year of proving himself on his own, he convinced Subway that they had made a mistake, and he opened Subway's first non-traditional franchise location. Today, you'll find Subway shops in over 10,000 gas stations, high schools, and even at the top of the World Trade Center construction zone. Currently, the restaurant count has reached 41,000, which is more than any other fast food chain in the world. And they have done this using a 100% franchise business model. Subway found that shops owned by franchisees are better run and maintained than any corporate location because there is someone on the front line who is truly invested and cares about that location. So what do we suggest for beauty? We decided to take the Subway idea seriously, reinvigorating an old-fashioned idea of franchising made new by technology. Brands need to be hyper-accessible by empowering local consumers to become points of distribution for your brand, utilizing the franchise method of buying in to a low-risk strategy for the brand. The idea is that your brand would expand beyond your sales team and beauty advisors by having micro-franchisees within local communities. Similar to Subway's non-traditional franchise approach, they would be empowered to execute customized sales techniques and will be on the front lines looking for unique distribution opportunities, such as a small boutique or a hosted party. This allows your brand to have a footprint in communities where previously were only accessible via the internet for minimal capital. Being hyper-accessible allows the micro-franchisees who know the communities best to focus on the unique needs of the local consumers. So once you've helped give her more time, consumers of the future will look towards clarity around the ways company operates. We know she's not going to stop using the hottest lipstick or newest fragrance, but she is going to want to do so with less environmental and social impact and with purpose. What does this mean for beauty? Radical transparency at the SKU level around 3 key aspects of the brand's internal operations: sustainability, profit, and social responsibility. Everlane, an online clothing retailer, has already started to engage the consumer in this way. This infographic shocked the fashion industry in 2012 when Everlane simplified the cost breakdown of a designer t-shirt. They then took it one step further and showed the margin. This kind of clarity is the tip of the iceberg. In 2030, consumers will come to expect this dialogue with their brands. Even Everlane's CEO said, "Sometimes 100% profit is enough." According to Jessica Blotter of Fast Company, if your brand story does not authentically and meaningfully contribute to the well-being of society or the environment, your brand will not be viewed as important. Radical transparency will hero the needs of clarity and deliver this authenticity and meaning so your brand will stay in 2030. The final need we found revolves around cash. If the current economic trends continue, inflation will have eroded most disposable income gains by 2030. Wasting money will no longer be an option for the progressive rationalist. Because of this, the needs of two previously separate demographic groups will have collided. The financially strapped have realized by necessity that wasting money is no longer possible. They will demand low cost without compromising. Meanwhile, those who do retain significant disposable income have become post-recession survivors keen on making smart financial decisions. These consumers no longer tolerate wasting money. So what exactly is a no-compromise value proposition? It's the newest generation of direct-to-consumer. It's Warby Parker, and they've flipped the glasses industry on its head with the introduction of affordable, fashionable, and accessible $95 glasses. They've created a new distribution model for the entire glasses industry. Shipping samples to individuals to their homes gives Warby Parker thousands of showrooms at a fraction of the cost. It's the price point of private label with the cachet of a high-end brand. It's the same way innovative giant Apple changed the face of both technology and the music industry when they introduced iTunes. With the progressive rationalist trading up and down, constantly activating levers in every decision, we urge you to learn and think from the Warbys and the Apples of the world and think about your category in an entirely new way. We believe a great opportunity for beauty brands is in the private label, one of the fastest growing segments of today's mass market. According to 2013 IRI data, private label skincare represented 10% of the mass skincare market last year, growing 4.4% versus the market at just 1.8%. Mass brands can no longer afford to ignore this market. So what does this mean for beauty? To compete, it's all about being where the consumer's already shopping at a different price point. Retailers will continue to develop private label offerings, and our recommendation is to partner with them. Provide them with the manufacturing and share on selling expenses. With this strategy, you let the consumer trade up or down to your product without diluting your brand message. Fulfilling the needs of the progressive rationalists will require us to constantly challenge the norms. We must be able to look beyond the way we've done business in the past. There's always a list of excuses why we can't change, but the consumer is no longer investing in brands or products. She's investing in herself and her own needs. If we don't figure out how to give her the best return on her investment, someone else will. Beauty brands must use the progressive consumption equation to activate their levers associated with the three most important higher order needs. Create hyper-accessible micro-franchisees, allowing consumers to become distribution points and create innovation beyond the boardroom. Own all parts of your story and provide radical transparency when it comes to your margin and resources. Do this before someone else does. And become the next winner in private label, positioning your brand to be available where she is, wherever she wants.
Thank you, Jess. So now I will jump into our men's grooming research. For the past decade, the industry has looked to men as the final frontier. We realize that here in China, you are leading the way in men's grooming. However, has the code really been cracked? There is still a goldmine of untapped users. The United States is an even less mature men's market. So we started our research by talking to American men to find out what they really know about beauty.
Shower, shave every couple days. In the morning, I'll shave, put on like a SPF lotion on my face, moisturizer after I shower in the morning. My daily grooming routine is, I would say, on the expensive side. It's a must, especially back hair and neck hair.
Nose, the hands, the arms, the chest, everywhere.
Well, answer the question, Mike.
On what? Landscape? I don't landscape.
You look. I don't have any clothes, but I don't know.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, people do now.
Yeah. I think basic makeup. I don't think you'll get into the color cosmetics.
If you don't call it makeup, then put it in cool packaging, yes.
In the future, I think, yeah, it'll definitely become more widespread, more common.
All right. So as you've heard, men's views are definitely evolving, but there is still a lot of work to be done. Let's take a look at the facts today. In dollars, men's grooming is a $35 billion global industry where the United States has a 17% share. Asia has an 18% share, and Western Europe has a 26% share. It is a booming market with 23% global growth over the last 5 years. But who is growing this market and why are they winning? As you may be aware, just last year, China claimed rank as the largest men's skincare market in the world with an incredible 280% growth. To put this into perspective, the United States and Chinese skincare markets were the same size in 2008. Today, the men's market here in China is $713 million larger than the United States in just 5 years. And then there's the true phenomenon of South Korea, showing growth of 67%. Then there is the United States, where growth can only be described as, well, underwhelming at 7%. This is only 1/3 the amount of global growth. So we need to ask ourselves, what went wrong? To understand how to move forward, we need to look at the past. While men's grooming has had steady growth, it has slowed in recent years. Historically, men have had a need-based, utilitarian approach to their personal care products. We see this in the United States in men's high use of basic hygiene products such as deodorant and bar soap. Aside from the practical uses, these categories have cultural significance, with most men learning how to shave from their fathers. And the men's industry has done a phenomenal job building these basic need categories. For example, the United States has a 38% share of the global men's bath and shower market, thanks to popular launches and advertising by Old Spice, Axe, and Dove Men's Plus Care. However, getting men interested in products beyond basic needs has been a huge challenge. Looking back even further, historically for women, physical beauty was an evolutionary advantage to attract a mate. While for men, biological success was based on their ability to provide for a mate. In today's mating game, men are still leveraging wealth and status instead of their looks. And as a society, our depictions of men in popular culture have only reinforced this mindset. In the grooming industry, we have used common stereotypes to sell these basic need products. Let's take a look. Using stereotypes in advertising has worked for these categories, but have we reached a glass ceiling? Where the United States only holds 8% in the global skincare market, compare this to China with 30%, South Korea 19%, and Western Europe at 21%. Skincare is where the major growth is coming from globally, booming at a plus 73% in just the past 5 years. In the past, when brands have launched men's, they often try to recreate their women's line, but with male labels. To men, this is confusing. Just think of the number of complicated men's skincare lines that have not succeeded globally. There was Gillette's first attempt in 2004, Old Spice in 2005, and even the #1 global brand, Biotherm Homme, in 2006. All of these brands have since left the US market. We have successfully trained men on basic grooming needs, but the hard work is to get men to move forward with a more sophisticated regimen. We're at a pivotal moment for the future of this industry, a time where men's mindsets, behaviors, and purchasing habits are all receptive to big changes. This is what we're calling the tipping point for men's grooming. Fueled by the changes in the global economy, we're seeing major shifts. Gender roles are no longer clearly defined, and the stereotypes of the past are becoming less relevant. Men today are more dynamic and open-minded than ever before. There has been a critical shift as a direct result of men's changing roles, changing views, and changing faces. First, let's take a look at how men's roles have changed. Today, 3 out of 4 men agree that they do not need to conform to traditional gender roles anymore, and that gender doesn't define a person as much as it used to. With gender roles blurring and many women working just as much, if not more, than their partner, shared responsibility is the new normal. And more than half of men say they now do all or most of their household grocery shopping. Men's views on appearance are changing as well. As men are becoming more image conscious, they're placing a higher stock on looking good. Sales of men's apparel has been consistently outpacing women's. In 2012, total sales reached $57 billion. And men are more aware than ever of trends in clothing and accessories due to the emergence of digital resources, such as fashion blogs and online retailers. And 2013 marked the first time that men spent more cash on male-specific toiletries than on shaving products. In addition to men being more image conscious, the face and makeup of the male consumer is also changing. The growth expected for older male age segments far outpaces that of the total population. And with boomers getting divorced at an increased rate and putting off retirement, older men are focusing on their appearances more than ever. This age group is expected to grow by 29%. On the other end of the spectrum, open-minded millennial men are more likely to accept skincare products associated with women's grooming. And population growth in both African American and Hispanic males will be a positive market driver in coming years. Despite these societal changes, the majority of brands are still not focusing on men as a key target. Men's purchasing habits and attitudes have reached a pivotal turning point, and as an industry, we have an enormous opportunity to take advantage of this moment. The road to growth can be long and sustained, but we need to completely change our mindset and rethink the way we approach male consumers. So we've developed what we call the 4G growth engine. It's our answer to fueling the men's movement. It includes 4 key pillars critical to the evolution of men's grooming. Ignite is the first pillar, focusing on creating a movement with an authentic approach to men's needs. In studying the history of men's grooming, we realized that the industry has spent decades educating women on the consequences of not using our products, but we haven't connected with men in this way. Currently, men see no consequences if they do not use grooming products. We looked at an example of a product that all men know, Gatorade. When the coach of the Florida Gators football team discovered that his players were losing energy in the heat, he worked with a team of researchers to create a beverage to replace the key components lost by dehydration. Gatorade has successfully ignited the worldwide sports drink market with this simple solution to a genuine but previously untapped need, and now commands a 46% share of the market today. The second pillar of the 4G growth engine identifies the need to steer men toward more sophisticated grooming purchases. Except for in fragrance, 90% of men report that they make all or most of their grooming purchases themselves. And we've identified 3 key categories of influencers: immediate family, peers, and significant others. Immediate family members have the most influence in shaping early product decisions like shaving, deodorant, and body wash. But once a man grows up, peers become more critical, serving as their number one influencer. And significant others are the most influential factor in motivating a man to try new categories. So where can brands steer men to purchase? Men are not shopping for grooming products on the women's cosmetics floor. They are driven by ease and accessibility, making e-commerce a key platform for this category. Through our research, we learned that the key components to success in digital commerce are in convenience, technology, excellent customer service, and rapid delivery. And if brands lack the resources to deploy this infrastructure themselves, they should be aiming to partner with e-tailers such as Amazon's men's grooming shop that launched in 2013. It's critical to have the right value proposition and discoverability to steer men to purchase. The next step in the 4G growth engine is to fuel the movement via imagery and communications that appeal to men on a personal level. Our campaigns must be centered around the modern depictions of male roles, such as the dad, the dedicated partner, and the open-minded millennial. For example, to launch their Chrome web browser, Google created an ad showing a father sending his daughter memories in Gmail starting at birth. Google connected with men, not by highlighting their technical benefits, but by forging an emotional connection that appealed to a man's desire to be a good father. So in grooming, imagery portraying this new masculinity is key. The last step in the 4G growth engine is accelerate. Similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's important to understand a man's level of grooming sophistication when introducing a new product. In Maslow's theory, a person makes their way up the pyramid by fulfilling each of the needs below. And for grooming, once a brand can capture a man's loyalty with simple solutions to the most obvious needs, he's now ready to address a more complex need. So in the 4G growth engine, each of these pillars are represented by gears, illustrating that it's a network of interdependent actions, all requisite to growing the men's grooming category. So now is the time for our brands to take action. The 4G growth engine impacts all functions of the business, including R&D, retail, and marketing communications. So in R&D, we must invest in men. Estee Lauder has an innovation center here in Shanghai to better understand Asian skin. So why not create such centers dedicated to men's innovation? Men make up half the human population, and we have not invested in understanding their unique needs beyond the basics. And in retail, don't hide the men. It's as simple as it sounds. We must showcase men front and center in all of our beauty campaigns, and not just for men's brands. This strategy is what helped to kick off the men's grooming boom in Korea in 2003, where men were featured across all beauty campaigns and retail visuals. And finally, our brand communication must interact with men in an authentic way. While women buy hope, men buy authenticity, and we must speak to them in their own language. We believe that our 4G growth engine can be the driving force for the men's category. Billions of dollars are there for the taking, and your brands must adapt or be left behind. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Colleen. Particularly well done, considering the technical issues in the background.
Sorry about that.
Okay, be prepared. The presentation that sparked the most questions so far was about men and beauty. Mm-hmm. So, Colleen, you might get yourself prepared. Yeah. Any questions? Everyone's gone quiet. I was going to say, you're okay. You've been saved. I've just got a very, very, very quick question before you disappear. I thought one of the facts that was particularly interesting was the difference in growth between Korea and the US, for example. What do you think one of the key reasons, or any of the key reasons behind that have been?
I think in Korea specifically, they've really invested in prioritizing men in beauty, and really not only just in men's brands. They put men in all of their advertising campaigns across categories. Even in the retail space, you can see pictures of men, so it really shows men that it is a comfortable space for them to be present. And I think until we change that mindset in other markets, I don't I don't know how we can see that kind of growth.
It's interesting as well because Korea is particularly influential across the whole of Asia Pacific, and the interest in I think, having worked in this market for a very long time, I know that generally Korean men are widely regarded as the most handsome across the region and the one that most people are most interested in. So do you think that something like that as well will have more of an influence over the whole of Asia Pacific, potentially?
You mean the boom in the Korean
market? The boom
market?
in the Korean, no.
Definitely. I think it's applicable, honestly, to all markets. And they're really paving the way in so many beauty categories, but you see the same thing in the men's market there. So definitely.
Fabulous. Thank you. Any